All right, we'll now be moving over to our Abuja studio where Eshomomo Modu and Tijesu Adeoye are standing by for that conversation around CBEX and the issues around it. Good morning, guys. How are you doing? I'm handing over the conversation to you now.
Hi, Veronica. Happy Good Friday to you.
Exactly. And thank God it's Friday, so it's a very good Friday.
Very, very good one.
So you said for this week, activities this week.
What activities? I
The
don't know.
Good Friday, the Easter Sunday, the Easter Monday.
Well, what I know is maybe I'll be taking my well-deserved rest. That is what I'll be doing. Probably 1 or 2 outings. I don't know about you.
Okay. Definitely we'll find time to relax over the weekend. That's something that came up to my mind, and that is the federal government thinking about increasing electricity tariff.
Well, I don't know how that is coming because they are claiming that the generation has increased. Well, I can't confirm that because I still have issues with light. I don't know how much of that Nigerians can confirm because the energy supply is still at a very low state. So if you're saying you're taking up tariff at this point, I don't know how that, you know.
Exactly. And I think the preoccupation should always be metering Nigerians because you increase the tariff and Nigerians are not metered. It means they keep bringing estimate bills, which is not good.
Even with the meters, I think the rates are still high because when it comes to this band A, band B, band C, already, you know, I don't even know what band I am. Let me know. But you know, even the rates and the units you get is not commensurate to, you know, how the unit flows. Sometimes some people complain that it burns fast. Exactly. A lot still has to do with it. So I think increasing tariff at this time, they still need to give some thoughts to that because...
So in the spirit of the season, maybe the federal government will need to have a rethink.
I hope so. I really hope
good morning, Nigerians, and thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast. And this segment is reaching you live from our Abuja studio. Angry Nigerians are turning to social media to describe how they have been locked out of their accounts on the digital financial platform, CBEX. People have posted videos of themselves crying, saying that they could not withdraw their investments and worried that their money had gone. Some furious customers ransacked a CBEX office in the southwest city of Ibadan, cutting off chairs, air conditioners, and a solar panel. Now, CBEX has not yet publicly commented. The company had promised that investors will double their money every month.
But in a shocking revelation, the Security and Exchange Commission says that Crypto Bridge Exchange, also known as CBEX, was not granted registration by the Commission at any time to operate as a digital asset exchange. Preliminary investigation carried out by the Commission shows that CBEX engaged in promotional activities to create a false perception of legitimacy in order to entice unsuspecting members of the public into investing monies with the promise of implausible high guaranteed returns within a short time frame. The SEC Director General Emomotimi Agama says investigations are ongoing on CBEX, adding that the promoters of the failed scheme will not go scot-free. And the Director General of the Security and Exchange Commission is here with us in the studio, and he joins us live now. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this morning, Mr. Agama.
Nice to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Well, why is it hard to catch and punish those behind Ponzi scheme? Is it that SEC is not well equipped or has the capacity, you know, to catch those and punish those behind these Ponzi schemes?
Well, first, just to thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity to educate Nigerians. SEC is capable, has the capacity, has the know-how, and of course, will be able to deal with anyone caught in this mess. This is not the first Ponzi scheme in Nigeria, like you are aware. We have dealt with others, and we'll deal with every other one that comes through. But fortunately for us, dear President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was proactive enough to sign the ISA 2025 into law as fast as it was passed. And ISA 2025 is a game changer. It speaks to issues around Ponzi scheme. Never had there been a law that strictly defines Ponzi scheme and the sanctions to be meted to those involved in Ponzi scheme. The ISA 2025 speaks to that specifically, saying, first, you have a 20 million naira fine. Second, you have a 10-year jail term. There has never been any sanction as strict as that for Ponzi schemes in Nigeria. So we will do all that we need to do to catch them, because you can only catch them when you have the information. Up to this point, like I said, CBEX is not registered with the SEC, was not registered with the SEC. And, of course, Nigerians were aware, those that got invested in it are aware that this is an unregistered scheme, apparently. However, it is important that we continue to educate them, because they were deceived into it. And that is why we say, if you want to do an investment, you want to make an investment in any institution, please check out with the SEC. Because the SEC has the responsibility under the ISA to regulate investments and securities business. And so, we do not take that for granted. Our responsibility and our twin objective is investor protection and market development. As much as possible, once it is not good to be true, it certainly is not true.
Well,
Okay, let's look at it this way. At what point did SEC get to know that this particular case, CBEX, was not registered?
Because
you knew that long before now, before it collapsed?
No, we just knew just a fortnight ago. That
just before you respond to that, the thought is, what are we doing with the intelligence? Are there no intelligence that will give us information that these people are right there swindling Nigerians?
Okay, so when you speak about intelligence, you can't cover everything, because Nigeria is a huge country. A lot of people do a lot of stuff. And if you become overbearing, it is some people that will say, why are you being overbearing? But as much as possible, we will do everything within our powers and within the ambits of the law to deal with any situation that we have found. I'll give you an example. I, as the Director General of the SEC, I have seen some billboards all over Abuja and even in Lagos. And when I see them, the first thing I check, is this registered? Because for those ones especially that promise very terrible, I call them terrible returns, which are not feasible, those are clear cases of Ponzi. So when we see such, it is our responsibility as Nigerians to get to the SEC. The SEC, look, this is what we are saying. What do you think? And the SEC will swing into action. So in those instances, we took their pictures of the billboards and we went after them and we closed them down.
Well, with this new law that you say has been put in place, does it give it enough teeth, to SEC to bite? Because we see this Ponzi scheme, they go into full, full profit. And then when a lot of Nigerians have invested their money, they crash, they lose that money, they don't even have hopes of recovering that money. And you say that, the SEC is well equipped, to clamp down on these people, but we have not seen anybody being punished yet. There is a 20-year jail term. There's a 10-year...
It's a 10-year jail term, 20 million.
Yeah, none of this, we have not seen any of this being enforced, and Nigerians keep losing money to these schemes.
Yes, so please be informed. The ISA 2025 was signed into law on the 25th of March, 2025. Prior to this time, we had the ISA 2007. The ISA 2007 was a little bit loose. It didn't have all of these sanctions. So we now have that. And of course, we are dealing with it. The CBEX issue is very, very important to us. It's very close to our heart because we are empathic as an institution. The president is empathic. He has given us the mandate to deal with this issue. So it is our responsibility to work hard to make sure that these issues are dealt with. And that's why we have gone into investigation. The information that we already have are very, very revealing, but there are not things I can, speak to, in a public process like this. But clearly, we are getting there, and we will get there, because we now have the powers to be able to deal with the situation.
Now, good enough, you said you're going to get there to deal with the situation. Outside even this, outside the SEC, we also had some other financial regulators like the EFCC that could prosecute under the fraud, prosecute under their own act.
Yeah.
We also had the Section 419 of the Criminal Code that you could prosecute. Now, why is it, not just talking about SEC, other agencies of government, why have we allowed these people to go to rip off Nigerians? And until they crashed, MMM crashed, before we came to the public. This one crashed before the stepping in of agencies of government. Why do we have to wait until this time? Why we had all these laws in place?
Okay, so it's important to understand that we, as government agencies, are also governed by law. And there are certain things you can just not do. For you to prosecute anybody, you need evidence. For you to prosecute anybody, you need the guidance of in fact, you need complaints from people. You need to be able to identify those issues. So the EFCC, the SEC, and other regulators are doing what they need to do to be able to deal with these situations. Like I said, as we speak today, this is the 18th day of April 2025. The SEC had not had any complaint before now regarding somebody investing in CBEX. People make choices. Sometimes the choices are wrong. And because they refuse to listen to the advice of the SEC. Prior to this time, one of the first things that the SEC will always do is to advise people. If you go to our website, we have a video on our website speaking to Ponzi schemes. We've also issued statements severally to tell people, please do not invest in schemes that appear to be too good. Because it doesn't make sense if somebody tells you that I'm going to make give you a 100% return on an investment for 30 days. However, we must all know that Ponzi schemes didn't start today. Ponzi schemes started on the 20th century by a man called Charles Ponzi. He's an Italian who migrated to America. And what does he promise? He promised 50% return on investment. And it was seen as being terrible. And that is how, Ponzi scheme became popular. Beyond all of that, Ponzi scheme is not only for the supposedly poor persons. Bernie Madoff of America, he was a high socialite in America. And he duped his own people from affinity situations. Right? Sarah also did that for women. So Ponzi scheme is a global issue. What we are saying is that as investors, as Nigerians, we must be more careful. We must be more circumspect. We must ask questions. If you have any investment, if anybody brings an investment to you, you have a responsibility to ask the person, are you registered with the SEC? Let them show you a certificate of registration. Besides, the SEC website is working. And we'll always give those addresses to say, look, check the SEC website. If you are in doubt, if you don't even find it, call the SEC. We have people on standby, ready to listen to you. Our business is Nigeria's business. And as such, it is important that we work with Nigerians to make sure we deal with these menace.
Now, a lot of these scams are being run from outside the country. How is SEC working with other countries, to track down these people behind this kind of schemes?
Yeah, so we will do everything we can do. We are a member of the IOSCO, that is the International Organization of Securities Commission, which is the global regulatory body for securities commissions worldwide. And we have collaborations with most of these institutions. In fact, fellow securities exchanges and the SEC have signed MOUs, that's Memorandum of Understanding, to be able to exchange information. And we have actually what we call a blackboard at the IOSCO where we publish names of such institutions so that people can be wary of such institutions when they come to your country. So, but it is important to state clearly that for most of these institutions, even when they are foreign-based, they have local collaborators. They have local collaborators. We have identified the local collaborator for this particular scheme. We are doing more investigation to know exactly where they are and how things are moving and the network of events. And those are things that we must do to be able to get to the root of the matter. We are collaborating with all of enforcement agencies, the Nigerian police, the EFCC, the NFIU, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, whoever it is that will be able to provide information so that we deal with these issues. Because these people are very crafty. They introduce several devices, including using influencers and bloggers to encourage people to come to investment. And it is in this law that if you are a blogger or you are an influencer and you are involved in, deceiving Nigerians into investing, you will go for it. So it is no more, business as usual anymore, especially with the emergence of this law. So clearly, we will do what we need to do. We know how painful it is because we also have relations besides being regulators. So it touches us. And of course, once it touches the people, it touches the government. Our responsibility as the SEC is to protect investors. Whatever we need to do to protect investors, we will do. And, these people certainly will not go scot-free.
Okay. Now, an interesting aspect of protecting investors is the fact that this SEC, you also, I don't know how strong you are on the social media, because most of these things are operated on the social media. Now, the other time you said, go to the website. Can you also be an active player, an active player on the social media to educate Nigerians and to alert them on those things that are on your website, to be there on the social media where they easily interact so that they will get first-hand information?
Yes, so thank you again. The new management of the SEC had recognized social media as a veritable tool for education. And what have we done? We have just recently launched a podcast room at the SEC where we will get to people. We have social media handles. All the social media handles that you can think about, we are in there. And of course, we follow them. We have also decided, even most recently, to engage young persons, especially youth corpus that work within our institutions, to make sure that these people reach out to their friends and, their mates, and of course, try as much as possible to disseminate this information to reach all nook and crannies. One of the cardinal objectives of the SEC in the near term is to establish a capital market radio. That capital market, the essence of the capital market radio, is to make sure that people are able to communicate with us real-time online, and there provide information for us to be able to deal with these menace that has bedeviled Nigerians.
All right. You spoke earlier about, these scammers actually engaging influencers with large followings and also bloggers, and these people do little or nothing to verify these people because they're also in it to make money. How would you encourage this set of influencers and also bloggers to, verify information before, promoting a particular scheme or whatever business?
Yes, and that's why I said it earlier on, and it is clear. Any influencer or blogger that we find to be part of any of these schemes will go to jail.
Even if they don't have knowledge that it's not.
They have a responsibility. They have a fiduciary responsibility to confirm that whatever they're getting involved in will not be at a disservice to Nigerians. So if you're a blogger, you're an influencer, and you think because of fast money, you want to be involved in deceiving Nigerians, the SEC will not take that. So that's, for us, it's a no-no.
That is quite interesting because they become accomplices
to
the crime. And you can't, before you take any brief, we will expect that you know the detail about the brief you want to take. Now let's go to this aspect. I think the CBEX issue, the MMM, buttresses one point, that Nigerians crave for opportunity to invest. Now, would you like to just educate Nigerians about some of those platforms?
Investment channels.
Exactly.
Very well. Thank you again. Nigerians crave to invest, and the Nigerian capital market is robust enough for that investment. So you have public office, shares of companies listed on the floor of the exchange, or that is the Nigerian Exchange, or NASD, or even bonds issued by federal government and companies, which are all regulated. That is one way to invest. Another way to invest, which is very popular, is through mutual funds and collective investment schemes. These are less risky investments because of the pulling together of various portfolios in order to invest, in order to diversify investments. So these are less risky investments. Every investment has a risk. Your risk tolerance determines the kind of investment that you are supposed to get yourself engaged in. And one of the things we say in the investment world, if you do not understand this, please speak to your investment advisor, your lawyer, your accountant, and any other capital market operator. Let's steal the SEC to explain to you clearly what these investments are. However, it becomes very, very disturbing that most people intend to reap investments 100%, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, almost immediately.
So it has to do with greed as well.
Well, that's, for want of a better word. But what is even more disturbing is that people do not tell each other when they do those investments. Because they want to outplay or outdo each other in being rich. So because you do not say it, the other person does not know. It's kept a secret until the day the die is cast. And that is when you now discover that, oh, two people in the same house were into that investment, but none of them told each other to be able to spread the news. And that is why the information does not come out. This level of secrecy, right, when the people get involved in, when you see this kind of investments that are not good at all, are not true at all.
But these Ponzi schemes actually involve, we bring one person to get two people, that's how you get your profit. So if you say it's shadowed, that is actually the way that Ponzi grows.
Yes, so
you have to bring 2 or 3 people to make your profit grow.
So when they do that, you know what they do? They make sure that whoever they are telling is somebody that is as gullible as they are.
Okay.
In fact, oftentimes, they don't tell it to the person close to them. The next person they want to bring is somebody from outside that will not ask them the questions that the person close to them will ask them. So right. the tricks are many, right? And so that is why, you have, a lot of it happening, and people still do it. I can tell you that as with this current situation, if another Ponzi scheme comes through, people will definitely need to.
But now I want to draw your attention to one major issue. Many Nigerians now are drawn to crypto trading. That is one thing that has been trending in the young space now. How would you say that, though legitimate, how would you say that these young ones can also protect themselves from the dangers in the trading space? Because this is also a very vulnerable area.
Every investment has risk. And like I said, your risk appetite is very, very important in your decision as to what kind of investment you want to be involved in. However, the SEC has a responsibility to make sure that every platform that offers these opportunities are registered with the SEC, and we do what we call the fit and proper persons test on the promoters of the platform, having to know who they are, where they are, and where their resources are coming from. All of this is with the aim to making sure that the investors are protected. Cryptocurrency is a new asset class that has taken the world by storm. And the SEC, by virtue of the ISA 2025 again, has actually recognized the regulation of cryptocurrency exchanges and the virtual asset service providers, which is the ecosystem for crypto trading and digital assets. We recently gave a provisional license to 2 of the exchanges that had applied to the SEC for recognition. And we are processing others. And why are we doing this? We want to be sure that these institutions have mitigants to risk that will certainly arise as a result of investing on their platforms. So this is something we do continuously. Also, by way of disclosures, these institutions are responsible for disclosing their activities at every point in time, which we monitor to try to understand exactly where they are going to and if there are any risks posed to investors. And this is why it is important that you must deal with only registered investment platforms and institutions, because we have taken, adequate care to monitoring them and to making sure that they are safe for Nigerians.
Okay, this other aspect, you talked about the preliminary investigations that have identified some persons. Now, how far can SEC go in bringing to justice those involved, no matter how highly placed they may be?
The SEC is a government institution. We are government. And as government, we have a responsibility to protect Nigerian citizens. That is a mandate given to us by Mr. President. And we cannot fail him. So no matter how highly placed anybody is, there is nobody that is as highly placed today in Nigeria as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And if the President has asked us to do a job, we have a responsibility to do that job, and we'll do it. And because he has confidence in us, that's why he put us there. So let everybody know that the game is over for those who intend to inflict injuries on Nigerians through investment processes and schemes that are not legitimate. Once you are involved in an investment scheme that is not registered with the SEC, you are in violation of the Investment and Securities Act 2025. And if you are in violation, then it means that you will be meted the sanctions that have been appropriated in that law. And we are going to make sure that Nigerians are confident. They have trust in what we are doing. And that is why we'll do everything to make sure we protect them.
Well, I would like to ask, are there plans to make this financial system more appealing and secure for young Nigerians? I'm talking about those that are verified and properly registered under SEC.
Yes, there are. In fact, education. We have increased our level of education. We have increased the boost to education. We are going to secondary schools. We are including, in capital market education in the curriculum of primary and secondary schools and universities. We are setting up clubs in all of these institutions. We are speaking to the NYSC to encourage new graduates around investment schemes and investment opportunities. We are using every medium to get Nigerians interested back again. We are only saying that we must provide protected investments to the level that it should be for Nigerians. And we are urging media houses, churches, civil society organizations to help us in this campaign, because we must reach out to everybody. If one person does not speak to the other person will not hear. And that is why it's important that what we are doing this morning is critical. We are saving the nation. Yeah. And we encourage everyone to do so. And that is why, as Director General, I am out there speaking to it. I'm not sending anybody. I want people to know that we are interested and we are committed to protecting Nigerians. We are committed to providing a safe investment environment. We're committed to democratizing wealth distribution. That is the essence of the capital market. The capital market helps you to democratize wealth for everybody.
Okay. Now talking about registration to operate in that financial circle, is there a situation where a company is registered and along the line they veer off into some other things? Are there ways to checkmate it? Because sometimes Nigerians will register and you see the person is into multiple things. So along the line he veers off into something that is not covered. So how can you check that?
We do. We have a department called Monitoring Department. The Monitoring Department receives information from capital market operators. We have a department called FS&CG that receives information from publicly listed companies. And we also do on-site inspections, which, sometimes could just be, at a go, without, spot checks. Once we hear anything, we do something. That is how we work out.
I would like to know if the SEC is doing anything to help those who have lost a lot of money in this recently crashed Ponzi scheme. I'm talking about CBEX, to recover their monies, because a lot of families, a lot of individuals are affected by this loss. And, it has left people in a very devastating and heartbreaking state. Is the SEC doing anything to help them recover their monies?
Well, we are very sympathetic with their situation. The SEC, like I said, is a government institution. Whatever has happened, it's our responsibility to follow up with the fraudsters to see if we could get their money back. That is when, redistribution can happen. So, and that is why it is very important for us to follow through the process, trying to get to the root of the matter. where these monies are, those involved, and get into all of the process of confiscation and the rest of it. Once we're able to do that, yes. That is why we say get registered. Because if you are registered, if you're a broker, for example, in Nigeria, you get registered with the SEC. The various exchanges where the brokers are members have what we call Investor Guarantee Fund. And the Investor Guarantee Fund is to make good any malfeasance that has happened in the process of the broker doing business with an investor. If it is an asset manager or any other institution registered with the Commission, we have the National Investor Protection Fund, which protects investors that invest in a registered institution, right, in the capital market.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on the program today. It was a delight speaking with you, and thank you for shedding more light, on investment opportunities and also the dangers in investing in Ponzi schemes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, and I'm grateful.
Well, thank you for joining the conversation today. We hope that you could draw a little bit of lessons from it. Stay informed, stay alert, keep educating yourself, and stay safe out there. Anyone?
Yeah. Just let's hope that they get to the root of it and make sure that everyone that is responsible is brought to justice.
Of course. Well, that's why we leave the conversation this morning. We will be handing you over to our Lagos studio where Veronica and the rest of the crew are standing by to continue with the rest of the